Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Georgiman and I'm your friendly neighborhood anime and manga fan. I love all things anime and all things manga, and I'm here today to talk about the very shocking episode of Oshi Season 2, Episode 10. So, what did I think about this mind-blowing episode? Honestly, I'm still shocked. This week's episode has a lot of implications of what's to come in the future of the story, and I can't wait to see it because this revelation, it's a huge revelation that goes down in this week's episode that I can't wait to talk to you guys about it. Now, before I go any further with this week's episode review, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder to make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you guys can be up to date with all my Oshi as well as all my anime and manga content that I'll be providing in this channel. It really helps out a lot, and I would really appreciate it if you guys could subscribe to my YouTube channel. So if you guys could, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get into this week's chapter. So this week's chapter starts off right off the bat from where we left off last time, which was already a big shocker on its own, which was the revelation that Taiki, the main play guy at the Tokyo Blade stage play, the main lead, he was, confirmed to be Aqua's half-brother, and they shared the same dad. So this was already a huge revelation in last week's episode. Not last week, the week before, because last week we had a break, so there was no episode last week. But this week, we continue from that plot thread, and we see that pretty much they were talking about it, and he starts asking like, hey, who was your dad? He's like, let me ask you first, who was your mom? And then he was like, oh, I'm not gonna say that. I was like, oh, she must have been an entertainer. And the reason he starts talking about that is because apparently Taiki's dad, he was an entertainer himself, and he got married to a lady, which happened to be pretty much his wife, that Taiki's mother. And we see that he's like, so tell me about your father, and he proceeds to pull up a newspaper clipping, like a news article, and it's a revelation that Aqua and Taiki's father is dead and has been dead for a very long time, according to what Taiki's saying. And we find out that the reason was because I guess it was a double, they both took their own lives in a lovers kind of quarrel kind of thing. And we see that pretty much this completely shakes up Aqua's entire character as a whole, because now he's at a point in his life where he's like, what am I even living for? What is my point in life? What is the motive in life? Because for the entirety of his young adult life, ever since he was raised by the remaining life that he's had being an orphan, being adopted by, thankfully, the manager of Strawberry Productions, has been about getting revenge. But now that the person that he's trying to get the revenge on is dead, what does that mean for him and his own character and his future? Because now he's like, what is my future? And he starts having all these questions, and he's like having a breakdown, man. It's very, I was shocked. I was not expecting that plot twist right off the get-go. And we see that pretty much he's like, hey, you can call me, it's great, let's have a drink, let's chillax. And you see that he's like, just don't be calling me Oni-chan or something, don't be calling me big bro or something, because that'd be weird. But we see that on a lighter note, we see that eventually Aqua gets back to his apartment. He sees Ruby, and Ruby's like, where were you at, dude? You're a delinquent, why are you staying up so late? And an important thing to note is that earlier when he was having the conversation with his half brother Taiki, we see that he's telling Aqua, like, hey, I'm kind of jealous that you have both Akane and Kana all over you, man. You have your little harem, but you gotta choose between the one of them, because you can't just be like our father, because our father was a womanizer, and he was he cheated on my mother, obviously. So he's like, you can't have it both ways, man. You gotta decide, and you gotta decide one of them. And you see that as he's remembering the words that Taiki was saying, you see that Kana calls Aqua. She's like, oh my god, where were you? Did you leave with Akane? Did you guys go did you guys do something inappropriate? And he's like, no, I didn't do any of that. I just went I hanged out with Taiki and we were hanging out. It's like, okay, I'm glad. It's like, well, I just called you for that. And we see that she starts smiling, and we also see Aqua checks his text messages, and it's from Akane, and she was just making sure that he was okay, oh, you better not be drinking, you're not of age, stuff like that. So both of the girls have feelings for him, obviously, and they care deeply about Aqua. But Aqua needs to stop messing around, man. This is not a harem. You cannot get all of them, so you gotta choose one. And me, where I stand. Where everybody that's seen my videos, they know where I stand. I'm on the team Kana supremacy. Akane's cool, I don't got no beef with her, but I'm a Kana supporter to the day I die. All right, so Aqua, make the right choice, man. But continuing on, the later half of the episode just continues focusing on somebody that I myself was very happy to see, because she has had no spotlight in this entire season, which is Mem. Mem catches up with Ruby and Kana, and she's just like, yeah, we're doing so good in our YouTube channel. We're getting 20k subs, so huge congrats. But then obviously these two are very spoiled, and they're like, what, only 20K? What about 1 million? We're not gonna reach 1 million subscribers at that point. And then obviously Mem gets pissed. I was like, what are you talking about? It's so hard. We're already like at, you know, we're like a minority of the content creators. There's 300,000 creators in Japan, and we're already like in the very small margin of successful creators. You know, not many, like 75% of all creators, they don't even have 1,000 subs. So obviously, you know, that definitely pissed off Mem, as I would for myself too. I'll be like, what are you talking about, man? We're being successful. We got all these people, you know, we reach everybody. And she's like, okay, if you guys are not happy, I know a way for us to get more subscribers and more views, and that is to shoot a video of our rooms, you know, like a room tour. And, you know, Khan at first is like, no, I don't want people invading my privacy. He's like, well, you know, you can write it off, right? Anything you shoot in your room, you can say it was an expense, so you can write it off in a tax. So you can get a tax break. And she's like, okay, let's do it. And I was just laughing. I was like, hey man, Kana gets it, man. Mem and Kana, you know, they get it, man. You know, you gotta, you know, and then Ruby at one point, she's like, I don't know, I don't feel comfortable. It's like, all right, man, when your tax return comes back, you're gonna regret not doing that. And after the fact, you know, after they shoot Kana's room and all that, it's funny because she has like a very expensive like handbag. She's like, oh, this was my PC, and she's naming everything and the cost of it. And it's just like, wow, you're being very tacky about this, aren't you? But after that, we see that pretty much we catch up where, you know, Ruby's contemplating, like, do I have to take down my stuff? Because obviously they're going to give it away that, you know, why does she have so much merch? You know, they don't want to have a connection between Ruby and I, because obviously they want to keep that secret. So, you know, she's having this, like, inner monologue, and it was very emotional, where she's like, you know, like, well, how is the sensei doing? Because she doesn't know all Aqua is sensei. And, you know, she's just thinking to herself, like, you know, Mom, would you be proud of me where I'm up today? And all this stuff. And it was a good scene. Good seeing some Ruby love in this show, because she's kind of been, you know, sidelined for majority of the season. And also after that, we see the next day, you know, it's Mem, and she's like, okay guys, so the room tours are cool, we're doing good, but also after that, let's go to like a hot springs or like an hotel and like relax for like 2 nights and 3 days. Once you're done with your play, Kana, so we can relax. Like, oh, I don't know how we want to do that. And it's like, well, you can bring Aqua. And she's like, you know what? And she's like imagining, like, you know, Aqua and herself, like with the bathtubs and all that. Like, not the bathtub, but like the hot springs, you know, when you have your little code and all that. So it was funny. And she's like, okay, let's go. And then after that, how the episode starts ending is that we see that Ruby and them, they're like, okay, we got to get a music video ready, because, you know, we want to get at least 1 million views in our videos. So we got to get a new music video of a new song. And then we see that pretty much Ruby's like, yeah, I'm down for it. Let's go. And then they catch up with the president, you know, the Ruby's adopted mom. And she's like, hey, so like, what's the process? Like, what's the progress? She's like, well, I hit up this guy, but this guy hasn't like hit me back. And then Ruby's like, okay, well, I'm gonna bug him until he reaches out to us. I was like, no, do that. It's unprofessional. It's like, no, trust me, Mom, it'll work out. And we see that pretty much. We see that Aqua is like, oh, somebody in the music industry. Somebody might know something about I. But then he kind of regresses about it. It's like, you know what? Like, there's no conspiracy or nothing like that. Like, my father's dead, so like, I don't care. And you see him kind of realizing that. And then towards the end of the episode, we see that, you know, Ruby sends a message to the director because he had like a writer's block, because he's kind of like unmotivated. But seeing this video that Ruby sent him, you know, really lighting him up in his passion, because he saw just how passionate Ruby was, you know, how happy she was. It's like, okay, I gotta make sure that I give them the best of my abilities, even though I have a writer's block. So then you see him starting to write the music. And then towards the end, you know, like Aqua is like, yeah, I'm gonna go to like this vacation with you guys, I'm fine with it. And you see him smiling like, yeah, like, what's to do with my life? Like, I guess for the time being, I'm just gonna be happy. And, you know, that's good for Aqua. And one last thing to note, how the episode ends, we get like a silhouette, like a close-up of this random girl that shows up. She looked like very ambiguous, so I don't know if she's gonna come into play, because I'm not a manga reader. But yeah, that's how the episode ends. And overall, I think that this episode was really shocking. I think this is like shakes the entirety of the foundation of the story, because now I'm like, okay, so what Aqua's gonna do now? Like, his entire plot thread has been like resolved, at least for the time being. So I'm very curious to see what they do with his character going forward, as well as, you know, who's gonna pick at the end of the day, obviously. But yeah, overall, I think this episode was fantastic, and I can't wait to see what, you know, the last 2 remaining episodes I think they have. I can't wait to see what that's all about. But with all that being said, what did you guys think about this week's episode? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? Did you guys think it was alright? Whatever you guys thought, let me know in the comment section down below. Also, thank you so much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Oshinoko, as well as more anime and manga content in the near future. But yeah, with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.